Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about how you need to count the cost and then take massive action. Many people, when they're starting a business or thinking about entrepreneurial endeavors, they'll think, well, I got to have a business plan. It's what everybody tells everyone. And a business plan is great when you're trying to get financing and funding from a bank or something, but so often that's the wrong way to go. When you have no product, no service, no customers, then to just get funding is only to heap upon yourself more debt and stress for no reason. Many times people are thinking this big idea, which is good, but they haven't even done a single thing to even make sure the premise is accurate, to make sure that the idea could even work. If you can't make it work on a small basis, it's not going to work on a larger basis. You're just scaling up failure. And in Luke chapter 14, verse 28 through 30, Jesus said this, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he hath sufficient to finish it? Lest haply after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish it." And this is such an important truth. You should sit down and count the cost. Now, part of that is once you realize what the end goal you're trying to accomplish may take, you start something right now towards that goal. You don't need millions of dollars in funding when you haven't sold a single product or you haven't got a single client for your service. So first and foremost, do something. Make a proof of concept and prove that this idea works. I've used this example before, but say you had a cookie business, you were selling cookies. Your big idea is to be in every single store across the nation and then across the world. That's going to take a lot of funding, but you haven't sold a single cookie yet. First, make some cookies. You're going to do it small batches. People might like that even more than the commercial mass-produced stuff anyway. But if you believe these are going to sell, if you still work somewhere because you haven't got this business going yet, take your cookies into work and sell them to your coworkers. If they won't buy them, and those people many times will buy them just to be nice, they may not even want them, but if they won't buy them, then how in the world can you expect people that don't care about you to buy them? It's not going to happen. And right then and there, you will have your proof of concept. You will have counted the cost, so to speak, and you can move on to a better endeavor. Now, if you don't work somewhere, or maybe your coworkers aren't that friendly, or maybe they just don't want cookies in general, okay. Where can you go? Are there trade shows? Are there flea markets? Are there craft fairs? Things that you could bring your cookies to and sell, and that would be all right. And this applies to any business. Any idea, any service, any product you may want to make, what is something you can do on a small scale to test the premise, to ensure that it actually has some value and that people actually are blessed by it and want to pay you money for it? Because if you're just giving your cookies away, that doesn't mean anybody's going to pay anything for them. Many people will take free stuff they would never pay a penny for. So if you've been giving your product away and say, well, everybody loves my cookies, okay, but you're giving it away. You have not proven, you have not counted the cost to ensure that anybody would pay for this to even cover your cost of goods, the cost to make it, the labor to make it. And you must know that too. It's amazing how many people don't know their numbers in their business. That's a guarantee to failure. When you're just getting started, you have to know, if you're making those cookies, as the example was, how much does each cookie cost you to make? That includes all the ingredients, the time. If you're cooking in an electric oven, how much electricity you're using, how much does that cost? If you had to rent a special oven, how much does that? You have to count everything down to that individual cookie. How much does it cost? So you know exactly, and of course the labor that went into it. If you had to pay someone $20 an hour, how many cookies an hour can they produce and then divide that into the $20. And get your numbers. Know exactly how much each cookie costs you and how much you have to sell just to break even. Now see, breaking even doesn't mean if it costs you 25 cents to make a cookie and you sell it for 25 cents, you broke even, because you didn't. If you made 100 cookies that day and you sold 50 of them at the break-even price of 25 cents, you've actually lost 100% that day because those other 50 cookies you made that didn't sell. So in that case, you didn't break even. You actually lost money. Instead of making $12.50 from the 50 cookies you sold for 25 cents each, you actually lost $12.50 because of the other 50 that didn't sell. You had to sell all 100 of them for that 25 cents each to break even. So don't only look at if you sold 10 cookies for $1 each, well, look, I'm making 400% profit. No, you're not, because you still have all the rest of those cookies that didn't sell, that you have money tied up in, you have capital invested into, and they didn't sell. And these are all things you have to figure out. How much do people want? How many will they buy? How much does the market bear? So you're not making an overrun of cookies that people don't want and losing money. And this applies to your service. This applies to whatever you do. You can figure out exactly what you're making, what it costs per item, or to fulfill a service for somebody. So you know how to properly price to make enough profit to also cover some of those. Maybe you make some cookies and they burn, so you have to cover that loss. And maybe you change the formula and they taste terrible and nobody wants them, so that's a loss. There are things you're going to have to go and learn first. Count the cost. Once you've established the cells, people want this, the formula is good, the cost for me is good to make it, to produce it, there's a market for it. Every time I go to the local fair, I sell out of cookies, so I need to make more next time. You're starting to know the cost. You've counted the cost, and now you can build that business into that bigger business that you want that's going to be in every single store. Although it may take a little bit more counting, more figuring, because now you need a specific type of packaging for it to be resold. You may need to add different ingredients so it can be shelf stable for a longer period of time than your homemade cookies are. There are many things you'll have to figure out. But the point is, you must count the cost. This does not mean making a business plan and putting all this flowery language and then going out and getting, even if you could get a loan, that's utter folly if you don't know, you haven't proven that the product or the service is even going to sell in the first place. You need to know and get some established track record, work out all the issues and little glitches and problems and here and there on a small scale, so you're not doing this on a huge scale that will lead to financial ruin. And I've seen so many people do this. Well, I got a second mortgage on my house and I'm going into my business 100%. That sounds good on the surface, but it's presumption and it's foolishness. Unless God gave you the word for that, and people doing that aren't operating by the wisdom of God, so often that leads to a disaster. And it doesn't have to. God will bless you. God will bless the work of your hand. He'll give you wisdom and guidance so you can figure it out, count the cost, and then take massive action. But you don't take massive action first when you haven't counted the cost, you haven't figured anything out, you don't know what it's going to cost you to sell, you don't know if it cost you $1 to make a cookie that people are willing to spend 50 cents on, that's a losing business. You haven't counted the cost. You don't know what the market's actually willing to bear for that particular item. So make sure that your actual costs aren't going to lead you to bankruptcy because it costs you more to produce or more to fulfill the service than people are willing to pay. Be the wise man who sits down and counts the cost, who considers all the particular aspects of their business before launching out into a massive either debt or whatever you're going to get into, or taking on partners and losing equity in your company, make sure it works first. Once you've proven and established, and you have a proof of concept, this works. If I had $100,000, then I could make $200,000 from this business. And then I could reinvest that and make $400,000, and so on and so forth. And you've proven on this small scale, then you have something to work with, and then you can start taking massive action. And from there, you'll just go from blessing to blessing and success to success. And God will bless the work of your hand. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.